Alright, this is just some simple animation using SketchUp and a bridge you might recognize. All we're doing here is we're setting two scenes up with different section planes, and if you notice there, some information regarding shadowing. So what we can do if we want to change one of just the shadowing effect, for instance on that one, or on scene 2, this is all it takes, is to go to the shadow setting and decide we want to have it a little bit later in the day, if you would, something like that. And then once we set that up, we can go to scene 2 here. We can't do that. We've got to go ahead to there. At this point, we can't update the scene 2. We're going to go ahead and change those settings so it's late, something like that. And in scene 2, we do right click, scene manager, we update, and the only thing we want to update is the active shadow settings. We're updating that. Updating just one. Now when we go about scene 1 to scene 2, you've got two things going on. You've got the shadow changing and whatever else. You could decide that in scene 1 you would like the camera to be someplace like that. How you would do that, you'd set up your camera, go to the scene manager, update, and you would just update the camera location. Which means now when you went from scene 1 to scene 2, the camera would shift. Something else is going on, and the shadows come up. What the other thing going on is this idea of section planes. So we set up two section planes, and the difference between scene 1 and scene 2 is the section plane that is active. So within that, you can see pretty amazingly how you get some real simple basic animation sequences out of a software like this. You'll see that within Revit, the solar study stuff is very accessible there as well, as it is in AutoCAD as well. So let's see how that looks when we go ahead and turn the section planes off and go back between scene 1 and scene 2. And there you go. And I'll just finally look around at that structure. That was just taken off of a photo in a couple of minutes, a projection. Didn't clean out all the holes, and then kind of reassembled the bridge there. So the kind of idea of doing fly-throughs and the like. It works this way as well in AutoCAD, so I'm not telling you that this is the only be-all, end-all. But definitely, if you're not in the world, in the short-term world of designing, something you might want to keep your eye on as you work, especially with nieces and nephews, cousins, and whatever else. So I'm just kind of changing the time in the day here. One of the most basic things to do here is just do a solar study throughout the day, and we'll be looking at that at Revit. I thank those of you who made such wonderful bridges, and then those of you who provided me with the photography. Last little bit, I can go ahead and set up a couple things in the background to make this look even a little nicer. I'll go ahead in the short term is go ahead and get rid of this thing on the bottom here. Perhaps go out to Window. Styles is the thing that sets up scenes and whatever here. In that styles here, I can go to an edit. I can mix around, and I can go with a background, either a color wheel, cancel, or more likely I might want to go to here and bring in a watermark as a background. I don't know how many watermarks I got. How about that one as a background? We'll use it as a background. Next, finish. Now that's going to be, it's a watermark that sets it up. So I've got here that watermark is not tiled. So that kind of sense here of where you put what you put below or around or whatever. There's lots of things that you can set up in most of these programs. The styles is the way it works for backgrounds in SketchUp. So that behind us is a tower we may look at. The general sense of finally going back to Window, Styles. That background there, if I go here to that watermark, if you notice here, do I want it stretched? I want it tiled? I want it positioned? I think we probably want it to be stretched. And based on the size and whatever else, you might have some things you might go about and doing it. So there you go. There's that kind of not tied to position so much. I just want to point out that, see, that watermark is not moving as I move around, so it's not something you're really going to do this way, but it makes a nice backdrop for certain things. Alright, that's all I'll do. I'll print this one and we'll be done for the evening. That is SketchUp and a little animation, simple animation stuff for those who might want to put some life into their models. Thanks for listening.